Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar, starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service's lethal response to a Canopia home invasion has drawn praise from criminologists as a decisive show of force against rising crime. By neutralizing 4 suspects and arresting 2 others during a high-speed pursuit, the Joint Task Force demonstrated tactical precision that experts say restores public confidence and signals an end to criminal impunity. While the operation successfully protected the community, the escape of 2 additional suspects underscores an urgent need for enhanced aerial surveillance to support such high-stakes ground engagements. Now, of course, that information there is correct to an extent, but the thing about that, just one situation like this cannot restore confidence into citizens. We've been hearing that type of rhetoric being pushed by the mainstream media and all politicians for umpteen years now. PNM did it. All the commissioners of police, even before Guevara, said the same thing. Every time you hear a case like this, oh, you see, TTPS is back on track and TTPS is doing their job and they're fighting crime. And then, bam, days later you hear about more robberies taking place. Days later you hear about more murders and so forth. Stop using one little incident to be able to try to play with the citizens' minds and make them feel as though, well, okay, the crime crisis has ended now, and the TTPS has suddenly been able to gain some type of capabilities that they didn't have for what, 30, 40 years? No, they still have a low detection rate. The TTPS is still corrupt and plagued with a lot of rogue officers that are involved in drug trafficking, involved in conspiring to commit robberies and so forth. Look at the case just recently with the municipal officers. So don't come and try to give the impression, mainstream media and the police, the TTPS, as though all is well now, because all isn't well. And beyond that, or besides that, my response and my concern is lethal force that they're trying to praise now. The criminologists and stuff like that are praising this. I have nothing against it either, but listen to what it's supposed to be done. Lethal force must only be used when criminals are attacking officers with deadly weapons, but must never be encouraged when someone has already surrendered. In this particular case, though, let's give Jackie Jacket. I love to give credit when credit is due. In this particular case, the officers appear to have followed proper protocol because some of the individuals were apprehended alive. Not to mention, there's a video circulating online that a resident of the area was recording, and you could see that the officers were hiding behind the wall. Well, not hiding, but you know what I mean. They were behind the wall, and you were hearing gunshots firing and whatsoever and stuff like that. This wasn't a case where they already had the individuals in their custody and then took their lives. That is murder. This was a case where these officers were basically fighting for their own lives and trying to apprehend these individuals. I have nothing against something like that, people. People think as though I am against police using that type of force. I want them to use it appropriately. Use it, do it when it's necessary. And that is the difference. You see, when somebody put up their hands and they surrender, you arrest them and let the due process take place. Let the courts handle it from there. I want to say there's need for the mandating of body cams to be worn by all officers at all times so that they can verify their claims of self-defense during encounters with criminals. It's not only to protect the citizens, people, from abusive officers, It's to protect many officers that are genuinely doing their work, honestly doing their work. And yet they're being accused of extrajudicial killings because they don't have body cams to be able to verify their claims. The Tunapuna constituency office was transformed into a bustling training hub on Saturday as Member of Parliament Roger Alexander launched phase 2 of a high-demand hairdressing course. Now, the PNM Patriots would have loved something like this initiative when Emperor Rowley and the mighty Morphin Ghanaian Coal Pot Bicycle Party was in office. Now they'll say, so what kind of thing is this? Hairdressing. Hairdressing. People make money with hairdressing. Now in this broken economy, you don't really make as much as you would have done in the past. But it's still something positive that the MP and the Minister of Homeland Security is trying to encourage the young women in that area to get involved in. I'm telling you, I'm seeing this man improving day by day. I'm not saying he's perfect. I still have a whole lot of issues with him. But I'm seeing that he's trying. The initiative saw scores of women gather for hands-on instruction in hair care and styling, marking a significant turnout for the community-focused program. By providing these vocational skills, Alexander aims to empower constituents with new professional tools, trying to get them off the streets from being baddest and getting involved in gangs and getting them in something positive. So by providing these vocational skills, Alexander aims to empower students with new with new professional tools, reflecting a broader commitment to local economic development and self-sufficiency within Tunapuna.
Phase 2 of the Tunapuna constituency's hairdressing course launched on Saturday at the office of the Member of Parliament, Roger Alexander. With just over 200 participants registering, each room was transformed into a temporary classroom, allowing scores of females the opportunity to learn several hairdressing techniques. MP Alexander encouraged them to take advantage of the opportunity and make the best of it.
This is an opportunity to learn. And from learning something, you could build something. Build your own business. From building your own business, you can earn something. So you start to earn from where you build, you're now functioning in your business, and you're earning something. And from there, you could teach others to do just what you did. I would love to see all these persons here graduate at the end of the course. This is an opportunity to move away from the norm.
In an interview with TTT News, Mr. Alexander said it is not just for his constituency, but for the citizens of this country, noting that some of the participants from Phase 1 have already started their own businesses.
I have no problem opening up my office for my constituency and the people. And there are persons here who are not from my constituency. I will not turn them away. It's about citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. And they come, they learn something, and they leave at the end of the day. I am proud, as of this moment, that they could just take the time out to be here.
MP Alexander revealed that plans are underway to provide training for the young men in the constituency.
First of all, we are looking to see what attracts. And whatever attracts these persons, we'll deal with it. Now, we spoke to, just this week here, to an electrician who doing electrician and electronics. So we are looking to see how much persons register so we can know how we can treat with that. All right? We want the young men not to be left behind. But then the young women in the area, they are fighting for space. So I'm hoping that while these young women fighting for space, I don't want the young men to be left behind.
This phase of the course is expected to run for 4 to 5 weeks. Nicole Dookie, TTT News.
Trinidad and Tobago weather report for Tuesday, May 5, 2026. Temperature expect a daytime high of around 27 degrees Celsius and an overnight low of 24 degrees Celsius. Conditions morning will start relatively clear, but cloud cover will increase by mid-morning, bringing a 35% to 50% chance of scattered thunderstorms between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Humidity and wind humidity will remain high, averaging around 79%, with steady easterly winds at approximately 11 miles per hour. UV index is expected to be 8, which is very high, so sun protection is recommended if you are outdoors during clear spells.
Regional news now. Former Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Greenidge has informed the International Court of Justice that Venezuela, listen to this, PNM patriots, tribal PNM patriots, that betraying Guyana for Venezuela. So Venezuela, rather than Britain, was the primary advocate for the 1897 arbitration that established the current border with Guyana. So contrary to what the Venezuelans tried to say, as though it was the British that was basically apologizing for what the error that they made in the past, and they were trying to make right for what they did, No, it was the Venezuelans from since back then was making this claim. Testifying as Guyana's agent, Greenidge argued that historical evidence proves Venezuela insisted on arbitration to resolve the 19th century dispute, which undermines Caracas's modern claims that the resulting 1899 arbitral award was a product of colonial conspiracy. As though, well, you know, it was, as I said before, they realized they did something wrong and they were trying to make amends for it. No, it's Venezuela that was pursuing that. This case has spanned decades because Venezuela reversed its acceptance of the border in 1962. They accepted it, you know. They accepted it and then turned around and said, no, we don't accept it again, leading to over 50 years of failed diplomatic efforts under the 1966 Geneva Agreement. The matter finally reached the ICJ in 2018 after the UN Secretary General determined that legal adjudication was the only remaining path for a binding resolution, because you can't depend on governments, especially when you have socialist autocratic governments like the one in power in Venezuela right now. You can't expect them to abide by any normal ruling. As a matter of fact, I don't believe that they're going to even abide by the ruling when the ICJ gives it finally. And you talk about quite in 2018. And this case is still ongoing. That is ridiculous. It's ridiculous how long it's taking for Guyana to be able to finally, legally, even though it's already legal, but finally say, okay, this case is closed after decades upon decades of disputes. This case is closed. The Essequibo belongs to Guyana. The reality is, people, the reality is, and I've made this statement over and over again recently, for thousands of years, all peoples were colonialists, you know. They conquered other territories and took it as their own. The difference is the Spanish and the Dutch and the white and I mean the British, basically all those are whites. They did it in a larger capacity. They did it in a larger scale than the rest of tribes in the world. You understand what I'm showing you? And therefore, what I'm saying is that it was one colonial that colonized Venezuela and the Essequibo and whatsoever, which was the Spanish. And then the British came along and they took that Essequibo territory from the Spanish colonials. It was two colonials. It wasn't the natives, the Amerindians. The Venezuela doesn't belong to the Amerindians right now. It belongs to the white Spanish right now. And the tribal Trinis failing to understand that, or they have a problem with the American whites and the British whites. They're sympathizing with the Venezuelan Spanish whites. And yet when they're Trinidad, they have a problem with them. It's total hypocrisy. From all different perspectives, it's total hypocrisy with these tribal Trinidadians. So at the end of the day, the British took that land from the Spanish. And that was rightfully theirs, because that has been the law for centuries and for thousands of years. When you conquer land, it is now yours. So the Venezuelans have no rights to try to claim that land afterwards. And therefore, the British continued in possession of that land, just like with Trinidad, until independence. So they had all rights to give that land to the people that resided in that land and in that territory. And therefore, the Essequibo belongs to Guyana, just like how Trinidad belongs to us and not the Venezuelans. You tribal PNM Trinis don't understand that if the ICJ for some stupid reason decides to award the Venezuela guy and Essequibo, they can come after Trinidad next, because they can say Trinidad was part of Venezuela, Trinidad belonged to the Spanish, and as the British came and took it away, just like some smarty on Facebook put up video the other day and was making it look as though the British were the colonials, as though they didn't have colonialism before the British. It is the Spanish and the Portuguese and stuff like that started it off first, and then the British came along. My goodness, people. And that's something you learn in Form 1. Jamaican Airbnb stakeholders have called for a cautious approach as the government moves to implement a 15% general consumption tax on the short-term rent sector effective April 1st, 2027. After 10 years of not imposing new taxes, Andrew Holness at a time of recovery has decided, you know what, I'm going to break my normal tradition and tax people. You cannot tax a nation into recovery or prosperity. And Prime Minister Andrew Holness, you're going down the wrong path. After 10 years of good governance, basically. I mean, mediocre in my opinion. It could have done a whole lot better. But who am I to say that? But I mean, that's my personal opinion. But right now, I'm very sure that the Jamaicans are very angry with what you are doing. Local industry leaders, including Airbnb community leader Sherian Anderson, argued that the tax should reflect the reality of a market largely comprised of small independent homeowners who may struggle with sudden compliance. Because exactly, it's a lot of people that just have their little homes. I watch a lot of Jamaica videos, and there's a lot of even in the Rasta community and stuff like that, and they have their little places, and they open it up to the public to come and utilize, to be able to enjoy nature and the rural areas. And now you want to tax them, and your wholeness? While Finance Minister Favour Williams has defended the measure as a necessary step toward fiscal stability, sounding like a socialist Democrat all of a sudden, and industry fairness following Hurricane Melissa, opposition members have condemned the late-night parliamentary vote as a lack of transparent consultation. Stakeholders are now urging for a phased implementation to protect the livelihoods of the thousands of Jamaicans who contributed to the sector's estimated $32 billion in earnings in 2024. You're making money and you want to make more. Greediness. And at what cost? Making the poor man have to give you more money. More money, and you're already struggling. The Ministry of Tourism, Civil Aviation and Sustainable Development in St. Vincent and the Grenadines last Thursday hosted the 2026 National Tourism Youth Congress at the NIS Conference Room. Delivering the opening remarks, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Tamira Brown, said the Youth Congress is an initiative that continues to inspire, challenge, and empower the next generation of leaders in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Invest in the youths. The future of our youths, our youths are the future of our country. But at the end of the day, when you have the media and the DJs filling their minds with gang culture, you have to understand that you have to, as the adults, as the leaders, the present leaders, you have to stand up and say enough is enough. And the public glorification and indoctrination of gang culture. Gang culture is plaguing St. Vincent and the Grenadines as well. Jamaica, Venezuela, Venezuela, yeah, but we're talking about the Caribbean. Jamaica, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Bahamas. All you hear about is crime, 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 crime. Why? Because we have a culture of crime in the Caribbean. And the reason why is because decades now, each generation has been indoctrinated into gang culture. It is not entertainment, people. It is indoctrination.
Today's Congress is not simply about competition. It is about stimulation of leadership, a rehearsal for the future, really, and a powerful statement that the voices of our youth matter. Through this platform, aligned with the work of the Caribbean Tourism Organization and its State of the Tourism Industry Conference, we are investing in ideas, innovation, and the intellectual curiosity. But tourism is also evolving. We cannot afford to be static. It is being reshaped by technology, sustainability, and global expectations. And it is you, our youth, who will define what comes next. Today we will hear from 8 exceptional students who represent not only their schools, but the promise of our nation.
Barbados Minister of Education Transformation Chad Blackburn says all systems are in place for Tuesday's 11+ examination, assuring the country that preparations are fully on stream. He said teams will be visiting centers across the island to monitor proceedings. He also encouraged students to approach the exam with confidence and thanked educators and parents for their support. I will say it again. Good luck to all of them. I wish you all the best in Jesus' name. Pray, have faith, and do not do. It's natural to become nervous. Even as adults, we doing things. I do in my videos, and I become nervous at times. So at the end, I'm recording myself. But my point is, right? That at the end of the day, understand that you are human and errors will be made. And even though you make errors, do not pressure your mind into saying, oh gosh, if I make errors, I might end up passing for the school or once and thing or whatever. Understand that God is able to give you the ability to be able to accomplish your goals and end up with your first choice if it has a first choice in Barbados. But if not, be thankful for whatever school you end up passing for, and understand this is only one little part of your academic journey. And you can still accomplish all your goals. You can still get all the distinctions and stuff like that in secondary school, no matter what school you attend, and be able to accomplish enter whatever career you want in the future.
To the students themselves, tomorrow is your day. Tomorrow is your day to shine. I want you to go into the exam knowing that you are going to do well. And what do I mean by well? Not just quote-unquote passing an exam. This is a transition from primary school to secondary school. And therefore, go into the exam, do well, no pressure, and simply know that the Ministry of Education Transformation is proud of what you are going to do. As I said to our teachers, we want to thank them and our principals for being able to work with our parents and their students in preparing our children for that regard. But I can assure the country that all is fully on stream for our common entrance tomorrow. I, along with my team, will be on the road tomorrow morning. Our first stop will be at the Dana Griffith Secondary School, just to see what is going on there. And then we're going to go to at least 2 other secondary schools and examination centers around the country to see also what is happening at the end of the exam.
The revelation that the Bahamian government has engaged U.S. lobbyists, including 23-year-old influencer C.J. Pearson and Trump ally Roger Stone, has sparked intense debate over monthly fees ranging from $20,000 to $100,000. That's a lot of money, though. But I mean, these are very influential people. The opposition has criticized expenditure as a misuse of public funds, while the Office of the Prime Minister maintains that such representation is a standard diplomatic tool for advancing national interests in Washington. This practice, people, is well established in Bahamian politics, contrary to what the opposition tried to claim right now. For example, historical records indicate that previous administrations have invested heavily in U.S. advocacy, such as the $48.2 million spent in 2009 to bolster the tourism and financial sectors. This is not something new that the present regime is doing and something illegal or anything like that, or waste of taxpayers' dollars. Bahamas, just like a lot of the other islands in the Caribbean, depend on tourism to generate revenue. And you have to spend money in order to be able to generate revenue, people, to earn. Just like advertising for business, you have to spend money in advertising dollars in order to be able to attract more customers. That's common sense. Do I know for sure that the government right now in the party, I mean, is election season there, that they deserve a second term? No, I don't know. I'm not living there. All I know, and I keep telling people, whichever party is the one that leans on the PNM, destructive, socialist, tribal side, they're the ones that shouldn't be governing the country, though. International news now. President Trump told small business leaders that he won't rush the fight with Iran just to be fast. He reminded everyone that past wars in Vietnam and Korea lasted years, decades actually, while this mini war, he says, has been only going on for 6 weeks. 6 weeks and everybody bawling, oh gosh, long war. Hypocrisy by the mainstream media, Kakash media in Trinidad and Tobago, and of course, a lot on the radical left, and QAnon far right, the Russian Orthodox QAnon far right, that believes that Putin is the Messiah of the world who will restore righteousness on earth. Lord have mercy, though. I tell you there, we will have a lot of answer to God for. Trump argued that the U.S. has already destroyed Iran's navy to keep the world safe from nuclear weapons. Even though some people are worried about the fighting, the president says he's staying tough until he gets a deal that actually protects America. And he's 100% correct for saying so. Rick Harrison, star of the reality series Pawn Stars, P-A-W-N, people. Make sure I clear that up in my news report. Pawn as in pawn, in like a pawn shop, right? Visited the White House on Monday to attend a small business summit hosted by President Donald Trump. During the event, Harrison lauded the president's economic leadership, suggesting he could be remembered as the nation's greatest president for his support of entrepreneurs. I used to watch his this guy, what his name is? Rick Harrison. Yeah, well, I used to watch him on cable years ago. Quite an interesting, I'm sure, reality show. A long-standing conservative advocate, Harrison emphasized that small businesses are the country's backbone and praised the administration for fostering a more favorable climate for business owners. That's what capitalism is all about, people. But Trinidadians, tribal Trinis, and the Caribbean people love socialism and communism. I'll never understand that. I like a little mixture. A little mixture where you still have benefits and things for people. So a little bit of socialism. And I totally support free healthcare, though. Yeah, you can have private hospitals or whatever. But you should have basic free healthcare for your citizens. And that's where I basically don't agree with the conservatives about that, even though I am a Christian conservative. But I'm straying from the point to an extent. It's basically about this anyhow. So his appearance underscored a continued alliance with Trump, whom Harrison has frequently defended as a champion for the working class and independent operators.
I just want to say he's amazing. He's done so much. I mean, so much for all of us. I mean, the backbone of this country is small business, plain and simple. And the last guy in office, all we heard was that we were the evil people, we were the bad people, everything else like that. We don't pay our fair share, whatever that's supposed to be. And he made it tough. And this guy, the big beautiful bill, absolutely amazing. You know what I mean? God bless you for letting me get 100% depreciation. It really helps out. All I can say is this is literally, I mean, I'm a history buff and I know a lot about this White House thing and everything. Literally, he's going to go down as maybe the best president ever. I love this guy.
Wow. On Monday, May 4th, 2026, the U.S. military sent a massive group of refueling tankers and fighter jets to fly over the Strait of Hormuz. This show of force is part of a new mission called Project Freedom, which uses over 100 planes to create a safety shield for cargo ships that have been stuck in the area because Iran continues to threaten to destroy them. While flight trackers show the sky is full of U.S. jets, the situation remains very dangerous. Iran has already warned it will attack any foreign forces that enter the water. And there are reports that small battles have already broken out as the U.S. works to keep the shipping lanes open.
Bible quote of the day. Deuteronomy 18:18-22. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their brothers. And I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak to them all that I command him. And whoever will not listen to my words that he shall speak in my name, I myself will require it of him. But the prophet who presumes to speak a word in my name that I have not commanded him to speak, or who speaks in the name of other gods, that same prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, how may we know the word that the Lord has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of the Lord, if the word does not come to pass or come true, that is a word that the Lord has not spoken, the prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You need not be afraid of him.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all, in Jesus' name.